Night in Havana is when a distinctly Cuban art comes fully into its own, the art of resourcefulness. Away from prying eyes, especially those of the authorities, it's at this time that Cubans run their parallel economy. One man, more than any other, has managed to transform this way of life into a flourishing business. He's a discreet character, on the edge of legality, who rarely ventures out in broad daylight. He lives by night. No one ever uses his real identity, but the whole island whispers his nickname. Danny Paquete.
Well, Havana at night is really beautiful. It's cheerful, it's festive. Wherever you go, it's full of life and energy, with music drifting through the streets and people gathering everywhere. People are chatting and laughing on the street. At night, by contrast, I'm calmer, more discreet too. I rarely go out into the street, preferring to stay in, unwind a little, and enjoy the quiet that settles in after a long day. I tend to work from home most nights. But I have faith in the street. I feel at ease on the street.
It's 11 p.m. tonight in Havana.
We're going to hurry a bit, we're late.
And Danny has a meeting in the district of the large hotels reserved for foreigners. He struck a deal with one of them because that establishment has something rare in Cuba, an internet connection.
I'm going to connect to the hotel's computers over there. My job is to download all kinds of programs, films, series, all the day's TV news. Then I'll take them home to copy them before sending them to every corner of the island. I can't have internet at my house. In Cuba, people don't have internet in their homes. Only in certain places, and you need state authorization. Most of the time the network isn't strong enough to download. That's why I chose this hotel. It has a good connection.
In Cuba, only 5% of people have access to the internet. So in the evenings, you see them by the hundreds sitting on the pavements. From the street, he connects to the world via the large hotel's Wi-Fi networks.
You see, everyone who comes here, they want to be connected. I'm telling you, we've spent so many years without any picture of the outside world, completely cut off from everything. I think it's really a good thing that we have access to it now.
Georges is 19, and he's installed his computer and a repeater on the pavement. He boosts the hotel's signal before reselling the connections for a few pesos.
Well, I retrieve the hotel's passwords and then I get onto people's phones. I do this only until midnight, because afterwards the police come round and they fine you.
Why do they do this?
Because what we're doing is illegal.
And were you watching Obama then?
Yes, one of his speeches.
But before, you couldn't do that, could you? Watch Obama.
No, before it was impossible. At best, we could listen to his speeches, but we couldn't see them.
Everyone senses it strongly here. The internet is a wave that will be hard for the government to stop.
Look, what really needs to change is that, above all, the president of this country should be removed. Because at the pace things are moving, he's no longer of any use. And day to day, young people want to be happy. They want freedom, freedom of expression. And better wages. Look at what we have to do every day just to survive.
80% of the Cuban economy would today be a parallel economy. Tired of this life, everyone is now waiting for a change. The day dawns, and it seems that nothing here has moved for decades, that Cuba is motionless. In Vinales, 180 kilometers from Havana, a man walks across his lands. He works them as 4 generations of relatives before him did, so being a farmer was his destiny. The peasants are Yoel Acosta's pride.
I think the revolution was a great blessing for the farmers. They finally became owners of their land. They finally could feed their families. They no longer depended on large landowners. The land was theirs. They worked for themselves. Farmers are very important in Cuba. This countryside, this land, it's their whole life, passed down through generations. They work hard to produce more and to support the revolution. It's this land that allows the farmers to feed the people, generation after generation.
It's a farm like the thousands of others across Cuba. Only 1.5 hectares of land, where everything is still done by the strength of men and beasts.
There's my father. It's very early morning, but we're ready to work this field. We have always worked together. Come on, let's go. Keep moving. If I could have a tractor, that would be ideal. It would make things so much easier for my father and me. But there are no tractors in Cuba. They are too expensive. Nobody around here can afford one.
Yields here are among the lowest in the world. Cuban farmers lack everything, machines, but also fertilizers and pesticides.
This land here in Viñales is unique. It's very good and naturally very fertile. We only give this land natural products, compost, things like that, to maintain our crops and keep everything thriving. There's one thing we never use, chemicals, because all that destroys the land and everything that grows on it. What I can tell you is that Cuban agriculture today is the best in the world.
And it's true that this agriculture today makes environmentalists around the world dream. The island counts 400,000 farms converted to organic farming. Ironically, it's a side effect of the embargo and the privations. In Havana, some have decided to remedy these shortages. Danny Paquete is leading this movement. He spent much of the night illegally downloading shows, and his phone won't stop ringing. They're Danny Paquete's customers.
From this computer here, we'll now copy all the content that will be sent across Cuba through external hard drives and USB sticks, so that everyone can have access, even in places where the internet barely reaches or doesn't exist at all. The copying starts from the main computer. Over there is the master drive, from which I download all the content to then copy it onto every hard drive, one by one, making sure everything is properly transferred and organized. We sort the content into folders: TV news, films, series, animated films, and everything else people might want to watch, carefully arranging it so everyone can find exactly what they are looking for. Almost all the content comes from the United States. What people are watching most right now is the NBA. We try to get it in HD. If we don't have those matches, for example, our Paquete is useless. I don't have the exact figure, but over 90% of the Cuban population consumes our Paquete, relying on it as one of their main sources of entertainment and information.
His Paquete is 40 hours of pirated programming dubbed into Spanish. From this small room, Danny runs what is described as the largest private business in Cuba. To keep it going, he knows what he has to do: respect the limits.
Our business isn't legal in the country, but we operate in such a way that the government doesn't look too closely at what we do, keeping things low-key enough without drawing unnecessary attention. In our Paquete, we filter information so it doesn't tarnish the government's image. No pornography, for example, and no politics, nothing that could create trouble for anyone involved. That's the unspoken rule.
Friday is Paquete delivery day. As every week, a race against the clock begins. It's 6 in the morning. Outside, a taxi waits for Danny, who personally handles part of the deliveries.
Let's go, hurry up.
In the boot, the precious hard drives are packed with a week's worth of TV programs. Our first delivery. On the way, a first stop at an important customer.
Have a good day. The guy you just saw is one of my best customers. He will copy the files and resell them to many people here in Cuba, in Havana. The earlier the files arrive, the better, because it shows you're the first to have them anywhere in Cuba. It's a race for information. You have to be quick. Now we're off to Pinar del Rio to see one of my other good customers. He redistributes to the provincial towns.
Because Danny has 2 competitors in Cuba. To be the first to deliver, he'll have to drive 3 hours without stopping in this battled old American car. Day has broken as the taxi arrives in Pinar del Rio, 160 kilometers west of Havana. The small town of 100,000 inhabitants is barely waking up. The man who meets Danny is called Ruan.
Hi, how are you?
Hi Danny, are you okay?
Fine, buddy.
The sales manage the Paquete across the whole province.
Hello everyone.
Salut à tous.
Here, the new Paquete. Copy this for me.
Inside, 4 people in a 10 square meter room and many computers ready to work.
I haven't counted, but around 3,000 people work for us just in this region. They resell the files. It's a kind of pyramid structure. There's one person at the top supplying the files. So it branches out, branching and branching until it reaches the smallest buyer of the Paquete. And it's that base which is the most important.
We really feel like any TV network in the world, because in the end, we too share stories, entertain people, and broadcast content and information. People consume our programs and we tailor the content to the tastes of the customers.
Can we say you're the first private channel in Cuba?
Yes, I think you could say we are the first private channel in Cuba.
The pack was like a window onto the world, a window accessible to a growing number of Cubans, especially those in the cities. In the countryside, however, as far as the eye can see, nothing has changed. Tobacco has always been a vital source of income for Cuba. Yoel is checking the drying of his leaves.
We grow tobacco because it's compulsory in Cuba. The state guarantees to buy it from us. But we have no choice. You have to plant tobacco and must do it properly. Otherwise, you can get into serious trouble. From our profits, the state takes 90% and the remaining 10% is for us. For example, my father is a smoker. He keeps the 10% for himself, and that's fine with him.
Cuban farmers have no option but to toe the official line. With 300 million cigars a year, this industry benefits the state, but very little to the farmers.
These are high-quality tobacco. We sell for 2,000 pesos, 70 euros per quintal. Lower quality tobacco sells for just 2 euros to 30 euros per quintal, depending on the grade and demand.
How much did you harvest?
Here we've got 500 kilograms. We should have had more, but it rained. The harvest was poor.
Farmers here now live on less than 15 euros a month, so they take comfort in the feeling of taking part in building the Cuban myth.
Not just in Viñales, but across the whole province. That's where you find the best soil in the world for tobacco. Other countries produce cigars, but nothing beats Cuban ones.
The rest is based on subsistence farming. Yoel grows a little rice, maize and sweet potato. So to improve everyday life, like all Cuban farmers, he has a little secret.
Here's the place where we hide the pigs. We keep them here, in the forest. Nobody knows. No one can steal them from us. For us, the pigs are like a bank account. They are like a reserve of money we keep in stock. When we're in need, in case of illness or an emergency, well, we sell them.
These little creatures sensed it. One of them will be roasted on a spit today, and it will be to celebrate a big occasion.
Today is the 26th of July. It's the anniversary of the beginning of the revolution. It's a traditional celebration for all Cubans. It's celebrated right across the country. I'm off to the house where my father, my mother, my wife and my children are. Tonight we're going to slaughter the pig.
We're preparing yuca, cassava, and a bit of rice. And some meat.
And the pig.
Oh, yes, the pig. We'll prepare it properly.
For the past year, we've had electricity. Things are improving. Before, we used to cook with wood. It's much better now. It's easier. But I'd like a bigger, more modern, more practical kitchen.
Cuba's agricultural model is running out of steam. With their 1.5 hectare holding, a 40th of the size of an average French farmer's, Yoel and his wife can feed their daughters, but they can't guarantee them a future.
I would like my daughters to study further, to find a profession. Even if they're not doctors, or teachers, or anything like that, I want them to become somebody in life. I don't want them to stay in the village working, missing out on opportunities to learn, grow, and explore the wider world. I'd like to.
Would you like to move to the city, to Havana?
But I've never been there. I'd like to.
And you?
Well, I've never had the chance, but I'll go. One day, I really hope so.
In the meantime, it's through Cuban television that the family discovers the world. This TV they've only had for 6 months.
I think that, if we didn't have television, we'd be cut off from the world, because no one can inform us, as TV does, about what happens every day. It's a huge step forward, really significant progress.
Yet Cuban television is under tight surveillance, a censored TV where Fidel Castro delivers the same speeches, where the Cuban baseball team always, inevitably, beats that of the United States. It's because they offer something different that El Paquete has enjoyed such success. Millions of copies are sold every week. They spread everywhere, in every town, every neighborhood, on every street corner. The family Cancio. A family like any other. 10 people live here. Only 2 of them have jobs. Money is always tight at the end of the month. They have to struggle to put food on the table. But whatever happens, Daniel always finds $2 for his Paquete.
This is a USB stick with the Paquete on it. So, right, I'm going to plug it into the TV now, so you can see what's on it inside. Pipo, can you excuse me for a second? I'll pause your program to show him the Paquete. That's Cuban TV, interview shows. It's boring. If you feel like watching it, good luck.
Moi, je préfère un bon film. Ah oui.
I prefer a good film. Oh
Les films
yes,
américains, je les adore.
I love American films, all of them.
Oh yes.
Everything's great, everything's great. Like Sylvester Stallone, Denzel Washington, Bruce Willis. I've seen all their films, they are brilliant. Look, him. That's my brother, Nicolas Cage. There are thousands of guys selling the Paquete, but the guy who created it, I couldn't tell you who he is in any case. It reaches us here. And I can tell you, it's our passion, all of us Cubans.
That fellow is a bit mysterious.
Yes, you have to admit his idea is worth a pretty penny. It must bring in a lot of money. He might, well, have already left to live elsewhere, possibly somewhere in the United States.
You don't think he lives here?
No, why live here? With all the money he's made, why stay here?
Yet, the man who invented the Paquete stayed on in Cuba. He stayed because he feels that something is happening in his country.
This is the platform. They hold concerts here, rallies, political demonstrations. That's where the new United States Embassy is located. It's a step forward. Because we no longer have a single, sole enemy that we must fight, politically. This heralds a generational, cultural, social, and economic change, marking a significant shift in society. These are advances we achieve little by little.
Danny has been approached by the American giant Netflix, but for now he's still far from being a millionaire. His business brings in between 500 and 600 euros a month.
But it's a lot in a country where the average wage doesn't exceed 40 euros.
The government can no longer control this situation because progress is underway. It's a very fast process that's accelerating. It changes every day, very quickly. And the government can no longer manage all of this. So it must open the doors and take part in the development of this society. Because, well, maybe not capitalist, but one that includes modern technology and sustainable development.
That's what Danny is calling for, and it's also what all Cuban farmers are demanding. The recent rapprochement with the United States has reminded people that another world is possible. Rural exodus is accelerating. 8 out of 10 people now live in cities. A new Cuban revolution is underway, and it will change the course of their lives, everyone's life.
À tous.